Knowing where the flaw is located, can you isolate the problem and solve it?
We're already working on it, sir.
Hello, you're watching Star Trek Sodium. This week we're looking at the facts about Season 2 of Star Trek Next Generation, Episode 11, Contagion. In this exciting episode of Season 2, the Enterprise must deal with the deadly threat of the Romulans, whilst investigating an infamous Iconian portal. Now in this episode, Captain Picard sees his old friend, Captain Donald Varley. Captain Varley is played with heroic vigour by the amazing Thalmus Rasalala. But did you know that there was a heated competition in the race to play the role? Other actors who auditioned but didn't get the part include Arsenio Hall, Dave Benson Phillips, Sherade Wilson, Hallway Paper, Brian Harvey, Sammy Davis Jr., Marcus Matango and Morgan Freeman. The one who got the job though was Thalmus Rasalala, and you can see him in the episode if you look. It was around this time that things were really heating up in the great science fiction war of 1988. Star Trek's rival at the time, Short Circuit 2, had been firing shots at Star Trek, from slurs to bordering on violence. It was around this time that the novelization of Short Circuit 2 hit the bookshelves of North America. One part of the book that sprung to the attention of Star Trek fans was the use of the backronym TNG in the Short Circuit 2 book. The use of TNG meant Transient Neutered Gump, which is what the bad guys referred to the homeless as. Also in the book, but missing from the film, was a character called Dr. Crusher, who was a terrible doctor who did everything wrong. As bad as that sounds, things were only just beginning in the great science fiction war of 1988.
If we have established that the Romulans were not responsible for the destruction of the Yamato, would it not be prudent to withdraw?
As we all know, Star Trek The Next Generation and Star Trek V were being filmed at the same time in Paramount Studio 9. During the last few days of Star Trek V's indoor shooting, excitement levels were running high and The Next Generation's filming had to be stopped a few times due to all of the excited shouting and screaming coming over from Star Trek V, just meters away. The producers of TNG repeatedly asked William Shatner to keep his actors under control, which only got a vague laugh for an answer from William Shatner. In the end, Gene Roddenberry slowly went from the Next Generation set and told Shatner to keep control of his actors, which he did immediately. Only the great bird of the galaxy could keep all of the parts of his creation under control.
Jordy, you all right? Destroy the probe, sir, quickly!
Now, if you were to ask anyone in the 1980s who the most toughest man was, they'd say either Sylvester Stallone or surely Jeff Capes. Not only was Jeff Capes a champion of shot putting, he was also the winner of the world's strongest man in both 1983 and 1985. The world watched on as Jeff Capes flexed his muscles, including a young Jonathan Frakes. The defining characteristics of Jeff Capes was that he had big fat muscles, and also he had a rugged beard which grew right on his face, the same way a herring might grow on an octopus. By 1988, Frakes had no chance at replicating Jeff Capes' round muscles, but he was able to try and replicate the beard, a look that he would cultivate and build on as the years went by. That's why, if you watch Star Trek Season 1, Next Generation, and look closely at William Riker, he has no beard. But do you see the difference in Season 2? In Season 2, he has a beard, a pale imitation of Jeff Capes' strongman beard, but a beard nonetheless. It was during the filming of Contagion that Leva Burton came into the studio concussed and had to film his scenes several times until he got them right. Director Joseph Scanlon was getting frustrated with Burton, as even when Burton did remember his lines, he was acting dopey because of the head injury. 3 days earlier, before the filming began on the episode, Burton was at his cousin Tim's house, overlooking the Hollywood Hills, for a large family barbecue. Leva had asked Tim to heat up a large slab of cheese for his double burger, but the cheese slab reportedly ended up on the ground. Excitement at the party rose to fever pitch, people running everywhere and consuming alcohol, and during the commotion, the LaForge actor supposedly slipped on the cheesy wedge and landed headfirst onto a stone pelican statue. The doctors advised him to stay at home for a week and rest his weary head, but reports report that Burman demanded that Burton come in to film his Geordie scenes, delirious or not. If you were to look closely at the scene between Wesley and Captain Picard on the bridge, when Wesley is acting afraid of the Romulans, you'll notice that his comm badge is attached upside down. It would no doubt still work with the same functionality no matter which way it was attached. But it doesn't portray the symbol of the Starfleet correctly unless you look at it from an upside down perspective. Perhaps in the far-flung future, Starfleet officers will put on their badges with wild abandon, preferring the functionality over its untidy appearance. I'm sure that if Captain Picard had noticed, he would have court-martialed young Wesley without a second thought. New Star Trek storyboard artist Lance Ranner had famously approached Rick Burman again with another bold idea. He would produce a new format of episode art that would inspire the youth of today to view a show that they would normally scoff at and not watch. A week later, and Lance brought in his finished poster to show Rick Burman. No original versions of this exist, but based on rumours, it looked exactly like this. Not only did Rick not understand anything about the image at all, but he ordered all copies of it destroyed. He wasn't against Lance trying new things, but he just didn't understand what he was looking at. Lance was ordered to continue his good work and to try again for the next episode. It was during Contagion that previous Star Trek Doctor actor, Gates McSomething, approached Gene Roddenberry and brazenly begged for the old job back. She reportedly said to him, "I'll do anything. I'll bring you that tea you like. I'll take out the trash when filming's finished. But please, get me back on TV. You can even get rid of that Chief O'Brien character and give me his money." Now, always the diplomat, Gene Roddenberry probably told her that he'd see if he could get her a cameo role in an upcoming episode where she could come on board briefly to visit her awful son Wesley, but not happy with this compromise, she stamped on the floor like a spoiled child and threw a pencil at Gene, hitting him right up the gob. Shocked at her outburst, but never one to not recognise an actor's passion for a role, the gears in Gene's mind started whirring to try and find a way to bring her back for a bigger part. This episode, despite only having an average rating of 6 out of 10, is famously the favourite episode of Barack Obama, the former Prime Minister of America. He would supposedly put on this episode whenever he had friends or family visiting the house. Even if it was the same person, he would put it on again, sometimes ignoring what his guests were saying as he just stared at the screen with dead eyes. He didn't like the idea of this episode not being watched in his household, so he bought a parrot, and he would leave the episode playing for the squawking bird whenever he begrudgingly went out for the evening, possibly to dish out justice on the streets, or to hang with his buddies at a local arcade. One report from a local Blockbuster Video employee is that they had to restock the VHS release of this episode several times, as Barack was always renting it and always wearing out the tape before anyone else had a chance to enjoy it. Always the show steelix. Gene Roddenberry was a keen fan of rock music. one of his favourite bands at the time would be immortalised by the episode name. Gene wasn't too bothered about the story of the episode, but he wouldn't budge on the name. The name of an episode had to be Contagion, named after his favourite band at the time. Eventually, a screenplay by Beth Woods and Steve Gerber crossed his desk, and he knew that this story was the one to be titled Contagion, the name of his favourite band at the time. The writers were not happy about having the name of their episode changed at the last minute. The original title was Science's Cold Creation, but it was changed by the Star Trek creator to Contagion, the same name as his favourite band. Thanks ever so much for watching my very good video, and before I go, I'm going to take a look at the comment of the week. The comment of the week is from Belkin57, who comments, "This can't be a serious effort." Well, that's quite incorrect, because this is indeed a serious effort. Thanks very much for your interesting comment. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button unless you don't want to, and come back next time hopefully for some more very interesting facts. Please watch some of my other videos if you like these facts. Ta-ta!